Welcome back to week 14 of the Pre-Jump podcast. You've got, oh wow, it's It's myself and Mr. Tech 4. I may have lied and given Hum the wrong hello, maybe hello. Gotta love it. There we go.
No.
That's great. Good stuff, Scuff Start. I may have lied and told Hum that he had 2 minutes for the intro, and I may have been wrong, and it may have only been 1. So hopefully Hum comes back soon, but
I mean, to be fair, Hum was here, and he was well in his right. He's like, "Hey, boss, do I have time to go get groceries for the family?" And the boss is like, "Yeah, you got plenty of time. I forgot to put a countdown on it, but like 30 minutes at least."
That's crazy. It says there's an echo. Who is echoing here? Can you guys hear me?
Oh, it's probably me. It's probably me because you have the 3 different audios being pulled. So you're probably pulling me twice.
No, that's what I'm trying to make sure. You know, I am just on top of everything today. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Life's good? Life's good. Cool. Dope. Solid. I'm glad everybody can hear everybody and not hear me twice. Nobody likes to hear me once, so, you know.
Anywho, I see you in chat. I appreciate it. I was also going to sell out boss and say, no, you were the first one to chat, but I can't sign in, and Twitch isn't sending me my text, so sorry.
Oh man, you know it's a good night for the pre-jump podcast. I'm not gonna lie. We started up. Oh, he left again.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, he forgot his hat. Life's good.
There we go.
I thought you left a second time, man. I was about to lose my mind.
Yeah, no, I'm actually out. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I'm just glad we're moving into the first week of the off season. We're not gonna have a podcast for next week for everybody watching, so don't expect it next week. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna relax. You know, now that we're kind of out of the season, we'll take a little bit of vacation. Nothing major, but you know, getting us kicked off here, so we're not taking forever to talk about how great we are and pat ourselves on the back for too long. Let's go ahead and move into the first subject. We're going to move into a little bit of recap from the tier takedown, which, you know, for me, at least getting everything set up, I thought it went pretty well. Like, we had pretty close games. I think 3 of the games came down to a 1-goal differential. Tech, you guys pretty well held your own against the tier champs from the tier above you.
I mean, I appreciate that. I don't know, man. Like we went into it. We had a really hard scrim. We took some of the best players from Prospect. We had like 6 of them. They kept rotating through, so we get a bunch of different looks. And then we get into game 1. You know, we score twice quick. I think I told my team in chat, because I'm toxic when I'm in chat with my team. I said, these guys are frauds, and we're never going to lose a game against them. And then I started ball chasing and let up 3 goals. And I fucked the entire team over. So I think they did a really good job, especially the game that I sat. They took it to overtime, like a 2-minute and 40-second overtime. But
yeah,
and I destroyed all the momentum.
I legitimately was like, you know, hey, it is what it is. You guys may not have won, and you know, maybe pepperoni pizza, being the better tier, probably should have won. But I mean, like, it definitely shows that, quite frankly, you guys probably could have. Is the intro playing again? Oh no, sorry, it's background music. My bad. I may have had that a little too loud. Look, it's the off season. I can be off my game. Not gonna lie.
Just tell them we're trying new things.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Dabble really quickly, Boz. I'm hearing that the pepperoni pizza team scrimmed the winning team of Charlie, the breadsticks, as their scrim warm-up for you guys. So
that's some serious respect for us, so I appreciate that.
They were definitely prepping for the worst, it looks like.
Hey, that's the way to do it. But, you know, I know I had some people ask, like, hey, are we going to set this up again in the future? And for sure, I think there's gonna be times like maybe getting the Hammerheads against a good vet team, or getting, you know, like a mid-level team. Because I'm pretty sure Dagon could have taken on like a mid-level prospect team. Maybe the backdraw champs. That would be maybe a really, really close matchup, if not Dagon taking the dub.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that I'd be interested in seeing, especially with those Hammerheads. I actually got the pleasure of playing against them in this kind of tier takedown, but I was a sub on my veteran team. They beat us in 5 games to move on to the next round. But they're a pretty good team, and I don't doubt that they could probably take down at least half of the teams that made playoffs in vet.
Oh yeah,
That's an impressive stat to be able to say.
Well, I think, like, for the Hammerheads, 2 of them are probably getting promoted to vet, at least, and the one's going probably to Elite. Red Steel 34, probably going to Elite. I mean, it doesn't happen often with a double promo from Rival, and I could say from personal experience it kind of sucks ass. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, those are players that, like you said, Boz, you don't really see very often. I was lucky enough to find one in you. But how'd that Elite season turn out for you?
Well, I don't want to talk about it, man. Come on.
That's all right. I'm just saying, Red Steel, be careful if you do get the double.
Well, it's tough. Like, I think Cloudy finished with like a 55 SPV. I finished with about a 50. And then I can't remember where Not Kaido was. I'd have to pull it up real fast. But I distinctly remember it being like none of us really were. Holy cow, that's bright as shit. Thank God I'm wearing sunglasses. I don't remember Not Kaido popping off in Elite. So I'm pretty sure we were all just kind of mediocre. Which, I mean, I guess is what Numbers is going for, right? Like, they don't want us to just clap.
Yeah, tier parity is definitely a big one.
No, he had a 52.4. We were all about that same that same range. So, yeah, fair enough. Oh man, you know, how did you Tech? How you played in it? How did you guys feel about with the $100 prize pool on the line? Did it affect anything for you, or just the same another game?
So I didn't really talk to my team about it. I mean, I told them that there was money on the line, but realistically, like, I had already kind of gone into it and said, like, we're going to play all of our lineups. Let's get Illusion Chaos in games here. Because, I mean, he didn't get to play a ton during the season. He obviously didn't play at all during our playoff run. So seeing $100 on the line, like, it was really cool. I think some people probably looked at that and was like, that's awesome. For me, I just try to look at another game. Now, part of that, too, is for us, if we could have beat a tier above us, like, that's already enough in itself. So, like, we didn't really need the extra motivation. For a team that, like Pepperoni Pizza, and good on them for agreeing to playoffs and everything. Obviously, they stomped on us, and props to them. But really, if there's no money on the line, they have nothing to really play for. Like, they're supposed to win, and if they don't, then it's, I don't want to say embarrassing, but it's definitely, like, not what you want to see.
At risk.
Exactly. So I'd be more interested to hear what it was from, like, their side.
Well, and I know, like, first off, they were very appreciative of the payout. That was actually pretty smooth. I was able to knock that out right after the match, right before the season wrap-up stream. But, no, like, I know that they were excited about the $100 payout potential. They were excited to play for it, but I actually had a couple people reach out to me and were like, hey, is this for every tier? Is this for one tier? Like, how does this work? How do we get on that $100 stream? And I'm like, my God, my wallet can't take that. I don't know about you, but I can only afford like one per off-season. I can't be shelling out that kind of dough.
Yeah.
No, it was super cool that it happened, but yeah, like, you absolutely cannot expect to do that every week for sure.
Oh, 100%. And I think that's something that we're going to have to do going forward for next season, is I'll probably do one, maybe two next season. Maybe. But it's all going to be about, you know, like, who's going to help chip in. Because this season I had a Ray and Chulane both pop in $20 a piece. And it gave me a little bit of leeway. But $60 per match was originally the intention. And I just, like, there's always going to be somebody left out. It's never going to be everyone. And hopefully next season, we'll get some good ones. But we'll just have to see, honestly. It is what it is.
Also, just really quickly, I do want to point out that Rob has admitted to never watching the Pre-Jump podcast until now in the chat.
Oop.
He said he's never heard the background music before. and called it Raw. So congrats on the background music, but shame on you, Rob.
It's all Monster
Background
Cat,
music
baby.
is fire.
Everything for the background music is always Monster Cat. It's the one thing we're licensed to use. I know, I think it was GoFig or somebody reached out to me and said, hey, have you thought about using this? It's NCS, it's all non-copyright stream music. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. But, like, there's opportunities, I think. But it's going to be Monster Cat for sure, for the time being.
Nothing wrong with that.
Especially with the everybody that's been partnering with Rocket League, like Monster Cat, and then now NF's got like half an album on the Rocket League game. Like, it's probably gonna be.
I do like that.
All in that ballpark, dude. That stuff is sick. His music's been nuts lately.
Seriously. I mean, and not to be that guy, but after we got Coach Ice or whatever his name is. And then all of a sudden, like, NF had like given us some stuff for Rocket League before that, but not a lot. And then after that, he like released all the new stuff, and it's like, oh, this is just another level.
Mm-hmm. But you know, there's not a whole lot to talk about for Mr. The Tier Takedown. You know, it was what it was. We've already covered pretty much everything about it. There's not a lot left hidden for it. So I guess that kind of segues us into our next segment, talking about the other events that went down. We had a show match that I believe was Hammerheads and Cursed, right?
Correct.
Cursed was backdraw champions for Rival. I think that's how it was.
That sounds right. Yeah.
The backdraw champs. Yeah. Dude, am I crazy to say that was... I didn't see the point in that. I really didn't see the need for the backdraw champs to get clapped by the Hammerheads.
I was surprised. I mean, both teams wanted to play. They got a chance to play. That's cool. But I was surprised to see it happen. I think I heard Curse took a game, which...
They did.
They took a game? Not bad.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I believe they took game 2. I was watching, and they did better than I expected, honestly. They kept it close for the first game. I think it was only a 1 or 2 goal loss, and then games 3 and 4 were also just close losses, but game 5, the Hammerheads showed up.
Well, and in the other event, the squad clash that was also put on by Chelsea, you and 2 vet players played against them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, the Hammerheads really got around these last couple weeks. They were playing pretty much anybody said, hey, let's play a game, and they're like, I bet, let's run it. But, like, how was it, even with 2 vet guys on your side, 2 guys that you know can easily handle themselves, how did it feel for you playing against that team?
I was way out of my depth, to be completely honest with you. Coming from somebody who played on a playoff level Chalia team to go up against a record-breaking rival team, they were just everywhere that I wasn't. And I think I maybe got a goal or 2 in the series. I was playing all right the first couple of games, and then not so well the last couple of games. My teammates were playing great, honestly. They were doing everything that they could, but there were a couple times where I was like, oh, yeah, your teammate would have gotten that, or oh, yeah, I probably should have made that save, that kind of thing. So it would have been interesting to see them go up against a full veteran team. I think that they might have gotten a game off of them, to be completely honest with you.
I'm glad someone finally said it home. Somebody, a.k.a. Mr. Chulade, finally said, whoa, Nelly the hat. Somebody's pointing it out.
Yeah.
I was having a bad hair day, so I said, let me go grab a hat from the box. Text said, oh, it's Hat Street. Got it. Let me go grab a hat. Oh, man. Gotta love it, man. We're just winging it right at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah, we are. But no, so I liked the concept of the squad clash. I liked that it wasn't too big. I was really nervous that they were going to have just an absolute stupid amount of teams, you know, and it was going to be, because I think the way they originally had it, it was supposed to be like all of Solar, all of Lunar, and for a tier, they duke it out. The winner of whatever that is plays like the FA side wins that. But this seemed a lot simpler. This seemed a lot more streamlined, and everybody I've talked to said they had a good time with it at least. So
I really do want to. I do want to shout out Chelsea for how well she ran the events. There have been a lot of people in events in the past that have had ideas like this, that are big ideas where a lot of teams are involved, a lot of different tiers are involved, a lot of different players and a lot of different franchises. And there's a lot of moving parts. And I will say, from running events like of this size, it's hard to put on, and it's hard to keep track, and it's hard to especially manage everybody's questions. That is honestly the hardest part. And hats off to Chelsea.
Wow, I
she
can't believe you just did that.
She did a great job running the event and everything. And I think from what I've seen, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, and that's definitely something that the events committee is going to look to continue doing.
I hope so. I mean, I know there's like 4, maybe 5 people in events committee, but I'm really hoping we can get some solid continuance. Like maybe make this an annual thing almost, because just something to at least fill in the off season. Because I know right now, even with as short as this off season is, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on officially. It just seems like a lot of days of our RSCs going on in the background, if you know what I mean.
Well, especially if you're like a prospect team or an enemy team that like your season's over weeks before rival vet.
Oh yeah,
it's nice to give them something to do for sure.
Just keep things rolling, you know. At least spend some time trying to hang out. But I mean, God, dude, like I know when I first joined season 15, I played 20 matches, played the first round of the playoffs, got knocked out. And then I pretty much sat around for 2 weeks going, all right, what's next? Like, what am I doing? And the only response I ever got was, you get to wait. The next season's 2, 3, 4 weeks away, and then you can play then. But did we played all-star matches this season, right?
I don't believe that those have been set up yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure what Rage's plan on that is. I know that he normally takes the lead, but that's something that I'll be talking to him about this weekend.
Well, I know
hopefully we can get some going during combines. Yeah, we did do them last season.
Okay. I thought it was
last season was a lot of fun, and they weren't too hard to set up either.
Well, we played the game, but we did. I know they were trying to get them all on stream, and that was the tough part last season. Was just trying to get 2 casters and a producer that were willing to really just show up and cast all-star matches. But I know we ended up just getting I think we had everybody in the ThePreJump podcast server, and we were just playing around there. So that was that was kind of different. But Tech, you seem to deal with a lot of stuff around the league. I mean, is that in the works right now, or are they? What's going on there?
So I mean, Hum would probably know more than I do on the event side of things. I know as an all-star myself, I haven't been reached out to yet. Although last season it was pretty close to the end of the off season where they're like, hey, let's make this happen. So as far as event stuff, I'm not entirely sure. I can tell you that the PR committee, the power rankings committee, and the player recognition subcommittee just got combined into the player recognition committee today. So that's, as of right now anyway, me and Lad are going to be heading up that, helping each other out and kind of sharing some resources. So I'm pretty excited to get that kind of rolling.
Yeah, honestly.
What have you? Sorry, my bad. You were already rolling in. My bad.
No. I was just gonna say, props to you, Tech, for heading up that committee and helping out with that. That's a really cool thing. I am glad to see a lot of more players getting a lot more recognition and stuff like that. And so our latest update on the All-Star Games came from about a week ago from Rage. He said that he was getting everything set up with the sheets and just waiting for everything to be announced. I'm not sure if he's made any progress on that, but I will report back to you all in 2 weeks, or you'll get a ping from us at the events committee announcing that there's some All-Star Games happening in the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully we will be getting something done. It might be going on over the weekends during combines, just to get that going. But yeah, keep an eye out.
I was gonna say, like you said last season, it happened towards the end of the off season, and I believe combines. I'm looking at the ticker down below. Combines are this Monday, so I mean that is
Yep.
short off season. But holy cow! Hopefully we see something coming out of that there. But I believe that wraps up everything for events. I don't think we had anything else. It was just those three, really.
Real quick, I gotta shout out my guys, Soul Fires, Zach the Bull, and Rook, because the tier, what was it, tier clash, whatever
Squad
the
Clash or whatever it was.
Yeah, that name. They had two different tiers of it. So you have the upper tiers, Hammerheads, and then Soul, who has been just a great guy on my franchise, but also somebody that never wins anything important, but always wins like backdraw or whatever.
Oh
so
my god, man!
I gotta shout him out. He got his third like participation trophy.
That's
I
pretty
can't
cool.
remember who I was talking to before, but they were looking for some kind of participation trophy to like put by a name. So I made a "You Tried" emoji with like a nice blue ribbon. I can probably get that PNG sent over to you if you want.
That'd be
So,
great.
funny story. We have a player similar to that. His name's DJRL. Last season. So last season, DJ made it to veteran finals, but lost. Also put up really impressive numbers. I thought personally he was going to get All-Star. He did not, unfortunately. So we gave him a little sparkle on our server for that. And then this season as well, you know, similar story. Our elite team made it to finals, and DJ got another sparkle next to his name instead of a trophy. So
Nice.
I think I was talking with DJ, and he was like, "Yeah, I think he said it was like his third or fourth finals lost." No, I think it was fourth
Whoa.
because he said something like it was his fourth finals loss because he was like the opposite of Moose.
Oh no, I remember that. We were actually talking. There was a player this season who just lost his fourth finals in Challenger, G-Robber 22. He has now lost Challenger finals twice and Prospect finals twice. He was on a team with me for both of those Prospect final losses. Shout out him. Great teammate. Love the dude. He was an AGM actually for me for about a week.
Talking
What
about
is
that is
picture.
it's
What did you just-
Chandler's. It's great. But I think Ari lost either his third or his fourth finals this season as well.
I can't imagine the level of mental that goes behind that. Like, you get the opposite, right? You get your moose, or you get your player who's won 3 or 2, and you definitely feel some type of way where you're like, okay, I can obviously win. I've been there. I've done it a couple of times. I know I'm a winner. But, like, God damn, I could not imagine losing 3, and then you're just like, do I want to keep playing? Do I really
thing
want to
is-
put myself through another season for this?
Like, you need to step back and you look at players like that and you need to realize, like, they've had phenomenal seasons. They've had so much success. It's just not quite there.
Falling
Yeah,
up
they
the
couldn't
final
get over
hurdle.
the hump.
Yeah.
I will say with G-Robber, he has also lost a finals in 2's league. And after talking with him after multiple of those final losses, his mental is just kind of, well, that sucked. I'm not going to play the game for about a week or two. And then I'm going to act like nothing happened and just have a good time. And he just keeps going. And he keeps getting back to these finals. And hopefully one day he'll win one.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at what Chulane put in the chat where he said, what about a Boss for Dollar versus Chulane 1v1 best of 3 goal equals hit sauce, which I'm guessing is not hot sauce. It's probably meant to be like hitting the sauce, if you know what I mean. And then loser donates $20 to charity. Could be the charity of Boss Radala setting up tier takedowns next season. But hot sauce. Okay, it is hot sauce. No, hold on, Chulane. How hot of hot sauce are we talking here? Are we talking like few thousand, or are we talking terrible and spicy? I think I'm the wrong guy for that, man. Like, the hot sauce I have in my to bomb, that's still not hot enough, Finn. That's 150,000 Scoville. That's still not that hot. The hot sauce I
That
like
seems pretty hot.
The hot sauce on my kitchen table right now is called Can of Whoop Ass, and it's about 1.5 million Scoville. I'm being dead serious. I will post a link.
I see why you're ginger. Your hair is just constantly fire. Holy man, that is spicy.
Dude, it does the work. I'm not gonna lie, because it's a Carolina Reaper based hot sauce. It's really good though. The dry heat is incredible. I'm trying to see if I can find like a good picture of it real quick. Throw it in chat.
Well, oh yeah, you know, just the hottest pepper.
I don't want to brag, but I went to KFC today and I had some Buffalo Ranch dipping sauce.
Whoa!
Tell you what.
How is that? I heard that's actually pretty good.
It's fine.
It's okay.
I had mild salsa and chips.
Oh, okay, okay. Boss, you have some competition here. That's all I'm saying.
We're coming for you.
I see how it is. I see how it is. But hey, you know, since we're already kind of shooting the shit, I'm not gonna lie. Let's move on to our little break here, where we've got some RC trivia from Mr. Hum, and then I've got some things I want to rabbit hole with after. So we'll start with that, Mr. Hum. I heard you got a few questions for us.
Yeah, so this week is going to be all GM related trivia. And with that, going into it, what GM or GMs has the best playoff win rate, and what do you think that playoff win rate is? And what I mean by that is, like, if they have X amount of teams, they have Y championships.
Ooh.
And, like, let's say if they've won 3 championships with only 4 teams in playoffs, that's a 75% win rate.
First to come to my head would be Treco. I know he won Masters 3 times in a row. He's had a bunch of other ships over the years.
Treco's a solid guess. He is actually one of the highest. Bio, I believe, is at about 30%, which is also really close. But the 2 people who are tied for it are Bill 3113 and Untamed, and they have a 50% win rate. 50? So they both had 2 playoff teams in total and 1 championship between them.
Okay. So this is not a they just were so good that they had a lot of playoff teams and a lot of chips. It was for the couple teams that made it, one of them got a chip and it makes them look real solid. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
With that, what GM has the worst playoff win rate, and what do you think it is? This is somebody who is still active in the league, however, they are not a GM anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, it takes away my first guess. That works.
Yeah. Because, I mean, so how are we... They have to have some teams in playoffs, though, to qualify.
They have had quite a few teams in playoffs and a very few amount of championships.
I don't have a clue. Maybe just Laban? I feel like they've had a lot of teams make it, but like not actually, you know.
This was just Laban's first
season as
she
a
had
GM.
0 make playoffs.
Oh, that's right. My bad.
What about Paco?
Paco,
you said not.
Paco's
not
still a
GM.
GM, yeah.
You said not a current GM.
You know, and I like how you said that, and then I immediately said, "Hey, let me throw out a current GM name real fast." Oh God, I don't have a clue.
I'll just throw out a random guess and say Trippin.
Close. A current admin. It's Tree Frog. He has 1 championship from 37 teams that have made playoffs across his 10 season.
Damn.
I mean, 37 teams making playoffs in 10 seasons, like props.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's
one chip. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a 2.7% win rate.
Well, we lost. I mean, we have some GMs. I think one of them just recently stepped down that had been in the league for a while and never took a chip. So I mean, it happens.
Well, yeah. Coming up to that next, Boz. Actually, great segue. What GM or GMs have gone the longest without winning a championship, and how long do you think that is?
I mean, I feel like one of them's Rex or Wex, or I don't know how he's spelling his name. But I feel like that's one of them because I know I don't think he won a chip.
Unfortunately, that is correct.
Hey,
Rex
I
is
was
one of
right. I
them.
hate that I was right, but I was right. Oh,
Yep,
man.
Rex is one of them. The other two are actually somewhat recent GMs, having been GMs within the last 5 seasons.
Okay. That's fair enough. Any other trivia questions there for you, Mr. Hum?
Oh yeah, I got one or two more. The other two GMs are actually Geeky Tom and Astro, and they both went 2 years without winning. And actually, I do want to give a quick shout out. I do want to give a quick shout out to Shamu. I wanted to make this a very positive list about a lot of GMs who have done a lot of winning and a lot of different things. But currently, if Shamu weren't around, I would be able to tell you the record holders for most teams GM, most teams in playoffs, most championships, longest standing GM, most regular season wins, and most postseason wins. But currently, every single one of those records is held by Shamu. That's pretty impressive if you say me, or if you ask me. And our final question here, who do you think currently is the 100th ranked best GM in the history of RSC? They are a current GM. 100th out of 162.
Okay, so... Okay. Are they currently a GM?
They are, yep.
You said out of 162, so just under half. And they did not step down this season?
Nope, they're still actively GMing.
I'm going to go with Croc.
Nope, Croc's a little bit higher up on this list. I believe he's in the top 80.
Mr. Skim Milk?
No, Skim has actually done pretty well. I think he's in the top half of all GMs as well.
Okay. Well, I know he had a little bit of a sophomore slump. I know he had a couple teams make playoffs, but some were struggling a little bit.
This GM is going into his 9th season as a GM, if that helps you at all.
9th season? Okay, never mind. Shoot. Well, there's only 26 more to pick from, I think. So, let's start here. Is it Tulane?
Nope, Tulane is 103rd.
103rd! Ooh, I'm getting close. Let's go.
You're getting real close.
Is it Tinsel?
Yeah, I got nothing.
No, it's not Tinsel. He's not a GM.
It can't be Tinsel. It is Tinsel?
It is Tinsel.
He's not a GM, though, is he?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a lot higher, though.
Lamone is the AGM.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, no, he is... So, across this sheet's history, which doesn't take into account Season 17, he is GM for 8 seasons, GM'd 55 teams, and had an overall record of 1,564 wins and 1,728 losses, with 2 championships out of 26 teams making playoffs. So, yeah, that's all I got for you guys.
Dope. Well, a couple things I want to rabbit hole on. So we just saw the last couple days a big shift in same topic we're talking about, GMs here. We saw, I believe, 6 replacements? Because no, we saw 7. There's gonna be 7 new GMs this season. Well, at least 7 new in quotation mark GMs, because we're losing Wex. Frosty Brew's gonna take over. Domino stepping down, and your evil twin took over. Puppy Paradise. Dolphino stepped down. Earth took over for what's that?
Electric Mayhem.
Electric Mayhem. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Pork Chop stepped down, and Wheelchair, looking for legs, took over the Quad Dynasty. God, that's still top tier name. Blun stepped down. Dylan, I don't think I'm ever gonna pronounce that right. Took over Whale Dynasty, and then Treco stepped down. Brady SC took over Shark Attack, and then Media Effect, otherwise known as Bio Effect, stepped down, and Bosco took over ERG, and that was I don't wanna bridge too far into that, just because that's kind of that's kind of a sensitive subject. But that was something.
Yeah.
That was something.
That definitely was something. And moving on from that very controversial topic, which I personally have a lot to say about, if you ask me on it, not in the pre-jump podcast.
Yeah,
however,
we're gonna do this off to the side.
But
we'll
I do want to shout out. I do want to shout out Wheelchair Looking for Legs. So that guy has been around the league, I believe, since RSC started, and he was originally the GM of what Metal was through a bunch of rebrands. Before Metal, it was Olympus. Before that, it was yada, yada, yada. Before, a long time ago, we were actually the Quad Dynasty at Metal. And Wheelchair stepped down as GM, and a long time later, I'm now the GM of Metal, and he has brought his old franchise back with, well, Porkchop brought his franchise back, and now he's rightfully taking his place as Wheelchair Looking for Legs as the GM of the Quad Dynasty. I do really like to see that. And I also do want to shout out to Treco, long-standing GM, stepping down. The league's definitely going to miss him. He's been around for a while and definitely somebody that knows a lot about the ins and outs of the league.
So yeah, that's going to be real solid. Big little bit of a leadership change here. Speaking of leadership change, for those of you who are living under a rock, I recently took over media committee. So I made a bit of a post in there. If you're part of media committee, you'll know what the direction looks like for this season. If you're not a part of media committee, you can definitely pop into the media committee application forums and get set up. We'll get you rocking and rolling, get you through our Big Brother Big Sister program that we just started up, get you some training, and get you running and rolling. So just wanted to put that out there before we move on to our fourth segment of the night, where we talk a little bit about, you know, what people should be, or for new players, what GMs are looking for this offseason. And I think there's no better group than Mr. Mr. Tech here. You know, the kind of ask the real questions as we bring in our guest for tonight. Hooray! They're deafened and muted, so we'll see how this goes here. I'm going to drag them down.
Hi.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
How's it going?
Sorry.
Welcome.
Good. I wasn't really paying attention for a second, and then I just heard myself get dragged.
That's the way to do it. Just get blindside pulled into the interview. But, you know, before we get rolling, first off, I want to congratulate you on winning Franchise of the Season. Obviously, you know, real tough to do. Big round of applause, everybody at home.
Thank you,
Congrats,
thank you.
That's really
Congrats to
impressive what you
Tech
did.
4 for winning GM of the season.
This is about you today. Not me.
Oh, man. But, you know, a lot of people, when they, I can't speak. A lot of people, when they pop into the league, they kind of don't really know what the GMs are looking for. What really people are trying to do when they're building a good franchise and a good culture for their people. I guess my first question right off the bat is, are you looking mostly for vibes, or are you looking for a winning mindset? What's your game plan there?
They really have to get along. Like a team, I have yet to find a team work where there's conflicting personalities or attitudes or motivation. If a group of players wants to have fun, then they're successful. If a group of players want to focus solely on winning, then that's the key to their success. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. It's definitely about the team building aspect and making sure that they all get along. For me, I personally like to have a couple of pretty competitive players who I know are going to drive the team forward no matter what. And then I also like to have what I call vibes players who are just there for the vibes, in all honesty. Like sometimes this man's going to be the fourth, or they might even go on IR. Our Vibranium, or our Titanium team this season actually had one. His name was QXZ. He was just an EU player. Terrible ping, barely ever played. We had him on IR, but he was still in the VCs every match night cheering players on. I think finding people like that is also really important.
Yeah, absolutely. I found that every time before I sign a player or decide to put them like on my draft list, I usually ask them one-on-one what their goal is for the season and what they're looking for, so that I can really get a clear idea of what types of teammates to pair them with as well.
That's a really good idea. I might steal that.
So, Ray, I kind of just want to jump in on this and kind of jump in on something I found incredibly interesting, and I think you'll have a really good perspective on this. So, for those that don't know at home, Ray, you took over 50/50 Pizza in season 16, correct?
Yes. I have trouble keeping the numbers straight sometimes, but I think it was 16.
Yeah, so the Blister had it before that. You took it over in season 16. Season 16, you were 30th ranked franchise, no teams in playoffs. You know, just not quite the season you wanted. Flip it over, literally one season later. Best franchise in RSC, franchise of the season, 2 championships. What happened? Like, was there like a big like aha moment? Like, did you just like figure out kind of that first season, oh, this is kind of what works better? Like, talk us through that.
So actually I was AGM on 50/50 for the 2 seasons prior, and those seasons I'd been kind of tasked with the lower tiers, being a prospect player. Usually the prospect AGM takes care of, you know, prospect contender AMI. And so what ended up happening was my first season AGMing, my contender team won a championship. And then the second season I AGM'd, I was AGMing also with Slate, and my Chally team won a championship, and then also the AMI team won.
Yep.
So it was one of those things where I had a very clear idea of how much effort I needed to put in and what my kind of structure would be in preseason. My first season being GM, I'll be honest, I thought I had another AGM season to go. So it was a little more sudden, and I don't think I really went into it with the same mindset and focus that I'd had, because going from managing 3 tiers to managing a franchise is a big shift.
Right.
So this season the goal was, and I met with my 2 AGMs and we did something a little different, so we didn't divide up the divisions. Slate was our dedicated trade expert. All he did was handle trades. That was his sole focus. Alex kept all of my random wandering thoughts straight and organized, and helped me organize all our tryouts and team building. And so him and I pretty much just steamrolled through every tier, held multiple tryouts per tier, and just built the team. So.
No, that's awesome. I mean, huge congrats to you. Like, clearly that's a formula that is incredibly successful. And I know Tulane is sitting in chat saying he's taking notes, but I think a lot more GMs also should be sitting there taking notes. I know I am. That turnaround's insane. Franchise of the season, obviously the top award you can win in RSC. Congratulations.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was really like, it's really not just me though. Like, that doesn't happen with just the GM or just your AGMs. Like, that happens with the whole franchise, because there was, I don't know how to explain it other than I've never felt so much heart in a season from all of our teams and all of our players and the franchise in general. And it's like everyone wanted to scrim the tier above, scrim the tier below, support each other, push each other. It was like a complete franchise effort.
That's awesome.
100%. I do want to backtrack a little bit. So you said it was obviously a big change going from an AGM to a GM, especially moving franchises in that process. But another big aspect from that is, so when you moved to GM, obviously you needed to pick your AGMs. And realistically, did you already know who it was going to be, or did you kind of have a little bit of like a searching moment? How did that process kind of break down?
So I've actually only ever been on 50-50. I was a player for one season, and Blister and I just kind of clicked. I was an AGM the next season, and then for 2 seasons, and then I was fortunate enough to get to take over 50-50. When I was AGM in my second season, and I guess this is something that has historically happened with 50-50, is one, you have to promise to never change the name. So as long as I'm here, and hopefully whoever takes over, they won't change it, because it's been 50-50 for a long time. But my second season AGMing, Blister asked me, who do you want as your AGM? Like, as your first AGM, when you step into a GM role. So I kind of got to pick his second AGM, and at the time, I felt really kind of lost with the trading, so I recruited Slate and was like, hey, you're going to be our AGM. Didn't really give him a choice, if I'm being honest. Kind of roped him into it. So, and then when I got to take over, I couldn't think of anyone else I wanted more than Alex Tross, who has either been on my team or been in my franchise since my first season in RSC. And he's just like really kind of stepped up into the role of AGM. I don't know if he really wanted to be. He was like, I'll give it a try. And he just kind of really has done so much for the franchise and puts in so much work. And I'm a hard person to work with. I can jump around quite a bit, and he manages to keep the administrative side straight even when I mess everything up. So.
Fair enough. Hey, thanks for the answer.
And as somebody who has had many frustrating DMs with Slate trying to trade with him across whatever franchise he happens to find him. He is good at trading. He gets the hum approval. He's very annoying.
There's definitely a reason Slate was given absolute control over trading. I don't know how some franchises do it, having different people manage different tiers and then having to clear trades through people. It was an absolute nightmare trying to do it that way for 2 seasons to me. And then sometimes Blister would do a trade and I'd be like, wait, I needed that. So knowing how he handles trades, we would have our trade sheet. I would tell him, he'd be like, do you need this or can I get rid of it? It helps. We live together, so he can just turn around and be like, do you even need this while I'm cooking? So communication has like 0 lag time. That's like key. But this season, Slate unfortunately is going to be stepping down as AGM. So this is like an insider information.
Ooh, you heard it here first.
And we are bringing in an OG fuzzball who is going to be our new trade master for 50-50, who is possibly going to give you just as much of a hard time. So
he probably is. I mean, I don't know if you saw it, but you're going from number 1 to number 2 right here. It's just thanks. I thought I was going to be able to fleece you.
Oh, it's funny. I gotta jump in because hearing that, and I've heard this for a few, so I'm like, I feel like I've traded well with Slate, so I like went back to my DMs with Slate. And almost every one of my messages is, "Hey Slate, you want to make this happen? I think it will help both of us." He's like, "Yeah, it's fine." Never even had like a counter offer. Every single time, it's just like, "Yeah, that's fair."
I remember the first season him AGMing, and he was like, we have 6 futures or something ridiculous like that, or 4 futures. Yep. I don't even know, 4 futures or whatever. And like, there was still 3 days to go. And I was like, but we have so many picks we don't need. He goes, yeah, that's the point. Like, it just made no sense to me. And I'll see a trade like 2 trades out, right? It's like chess. He'll see trades like 5 steps in across 4 different people and like 12 different steps. And I don't know, I just have a limit. And so I have learned that there's just trust needed, and I just need to clearly express exactly what I need. And I've never been let down.
So outside of the AGM side of things, and outside of the the GM side of things for that part, one thing I did want to ask you about, how how did it work with your community setting up the right culture? Did you have a lot of like community event nights, game nights? Like, how did that work? How did you get your people involved and bought into the kind of method you're looking for?
So that's actually a goal this season, is to build more of a community. I mean, we hang out and we do watch parties. I wouldn't say, like, I know there are franchise servers that have people in it always, and I wouldn't necessarily say 50-50 is at that point. I will say I can always message at least 2 people and get like 3 together to play ranked if I want. But it's something that I really want to kind of focus on, creating like a space where people can use it and just like have fun and play. But for this past season, like I said, we really focused on team building and like applying methodology across the franchise and not just a portion. And a big part of that is what resulted in what happened, which was teams supporting each other. Because everyone had I really feel like a lot of the teams all had the same mentality, that they all just kind of came together on their own, and I feel really fortunate to have been a part of that.
That's always nice when everything seems to gel together without you having to do anything. Even though you did do quite a bit, how many transactions did you end up having? 104?
I didn't know.
Was it 108?
Like something ridiculous like that? I know that, so a lot of people don't know, our prospect team was completely blown up mid-season, except for one player, Panilla. I know during the tier takedown, someone referred to Ben as the 4th man, but he had started in the first game and he was one of the core players like in our playoff game. I know Panilla didn't get any match time in playoffs, so we, like Tech 4, we made sure to play him in the tier takedown. But everyone except Panilla was brand new. 1 was traded and 2 were picked up off FA status. And then our Chally team, who also won, was also a 50% rebuild mid-season. It just kind of like fell apart due to just like outside things that are out of our control, and we literally had to kind of just reset completely. So, yeah.
Well, it's a really good job, I will say.
No, it's a good reminder to everybody out there that just because things aren't working out in the beginning of the season doesn't mean the season's over.
Yeah, that was actually a lesson I feel like I learned. I think that a mistake that I made for a number of seasons is thinking that I could make things work because I either really like certain players, and it's like I kind of told myself and reminded myself this season, and I went into the season basically this last season telling everyone from my first season GMing that nothing was guaranteed, nothing was promised, because tier list is chaos and no one knows what's going to happen ever. And so until there's any sort of stability, I'm not promising anyone anything. Even if my heart is with that player and I want to keep them no matter what, I just like, no one can get promised anything because I have no idea what the tier list is going to do. But the big thing was that it was just stay open-minded and go into it with a clear mind and kind of go from there. Sorry, I think I got off track. But,
No, that's a really good point. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know if I'm still coming through really quiet, but I'm going through real blurry now for some reason. So Hum, if you could just keep going, I'll try to figure this out.
That was where I was headed with that. So we rebuild the teams. What I remind myself, or what I learned this season, was it isn't too late, which is what you brought up. Because I had always thought that there was a point in a season where rebuilding there's no point. And that's not true, because at the end of the day, the reality is our jobs as GMs is to ensure players want to come back and play again. So if a team is having a rough season, it doesn't matter whether it's, 2 days before, the cutoff or 2 weeks before the cutoff. Like, you just have to do what's best for the team and for the players to enjoy it. And you have to just understand that sometimes you have to make a change, and that's okay. Like, that's what the FA pool is for. That's what the community is for. And you're not doing anyone a service by forcing a team to stay together that's either not getting along or not finding success, because that's not what it's about. Fun, everyone should have fun. And if every match day you're getting smacked and the players are just leaving the Discord and they're not having fun, then I feel like I'm not doing my job for them.
That's definitely a big one for me as well. And I do want to go back to what you said about it never being too late. One thing I tell all of my teams that the goal for them is I don't talk about the championships. I don't talk about playoffs, anything past that. My goal for every team at the start of the season is to make playoffs. And then the second I know that we're locked into playoffs, I start talking to them. All right, how are we going to win? So it's as simple as that for me. It doesn't matter how late in the season it is. You can always rebuild that team as long as you're making it to playoffs. It could be literally the match cut off and you could cut all 4 players, sign 4 new people, and they could go on and win a ship for you. And that's something that I don't think has happened. It's something that has half happened before with a couple of teams. But I really think that always believing that it's never too late to make a change or to at least keep trying is something that a lot of people need reminded of recently, and it seems like something that you don't really need reminding of.
I definitely, this season taught me a lot about being okay with pulling a plug. Even when it's hard being in a league and having friends, because you want them to come play with you and play for you, and sometimes as GMs we get put in tough places, and it's like, at the end of the day, I just hope everyone understands that when we make these decisions, it's not just about the team. If a player's not happy, sometimes the best thing we can do is trade them to somewhere where they're going to succeed and be happy, or give them an opportunity to really shine. So
fair enough. Am I coming through still kind of quiet for you guys, or am I good now?
You sound good to me.
Cool. Hopefully things are good. I was gonna say, big shout out to Mr. Encreds, because he did that last season. We had Buck Naked was a player that he had. His Chally team wasn't doing super well, so he said, "Hey, boss, I need to get into somewhere that people are gonna treat him nice. Can I get him onto your team, and hopefully they do better?" And unfortunately for him, we were not better. So it is what it is. We had a good time though, at least. But I definitely understand, Ray, where you're coming from about getting it where they're gonna fit it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really, sometimes it just doesn't click, and that's okay. But I've seen a lot of trades happen like right at the cut and sign deadline that have shocked me. Like, shocked to my core. Like, I never thought this player or that player would have been traded and signed, and I was like, I didn't even think that was an option. And you realize how many players and GMs look to try to find opportunities for people to get a shot in playoffs if they know that, their team doesn't have a chance.
Yeah.
Fair point.
And then I just have one question for you. 1, 2, or 3 questions, depending on your answers. So, did you watch your team?
I think you cut out there, Mr. Hum.
Can I extrapolate the rest of the question?
Yeah, go ahead, Hum. What's there? I can hear you now.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. Did you watch the teams that won? Like, did you watch the stream?
I did, and I'm still torn. If you ask anyone, Slate couldn't join the chat because you could hear me through his mic screaming on the other side of the room. I also immediately started sobbing in chat after one of them, and people were trying to talk to me, and I couldn't get anything out. Because it's like it was such like for those two teams that won in particular, it was such like an uphill battle with the lineups and making things work and trying to find stuff. So it's like to see them succeed and like that prospect final was so freaking close. It was so close, and it was like, I mean, I am so glad, like better them than me. Like, I'm glad I cut myself because there's no way I would have handled that nearly as well as they did.
I've had similar moments like that. Second question is, for that prospect final, I was watching too. It was pretty close. But for you, at what point did you know they won? Was it after the first goal or was it after the second?
So I take the stance of like unwavering belief in success until told otherwise. Like, because if I even like think or like dwell, like I just am very emotional. And so it doesn't matter if they were losing a match or winning. I was like talking them up or like feeling, nah, they'll get that back. It wasn't that big of a deal. I think there was one shot where I like was like, nah, that's just a nice shot on them. It was like, I forget what game it was, but it was just like a really good shot by the other team. But it was like unwavering support until the very last second. I am one of those players personally where all it takes is 2 seconds on the ground to score a goal off a kickoff, 1 second, you know, just for it to go up in the air and someone to do something. So, and that probably comes from the fact I played volleyball for 11 years, like NCAA tournament and all of that, and it was like, it's like the same mindset, I hate to say it, that I apply to Rocket League, which is like, it's literally not over until the game's done. You don't stop. You don't stop running. You don't stop trying to go for a ball. Like, it doesn't stop literally until it says, like, game over and it loads up, you know?
Yeah, no, I, as someone who also played a lot of competitive sports earlier in their life, like, it definitely, Rocket League has become my competitive outlet. I don't know if that's similar for you. I would assume something along the same lines.
Oh, 100%. It's just all the more frustrating because I think I lack like key motor skills with my hands to just like mechanically make anything connect in my brain. I try so hard, but I think I just have a limit and I'll figure it out eventually. But this is probably like, it's a big competitive outlet. I need a competitive outlet. I'm by nature very competitive. So yeah.
Dope.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that a lot of RSC members have in common.
Well, Tech, do you have any other final follow-up questions, or how are things looking?
The only follow-up question I would give, or I would ask, I guess, is if you had a new GM reach out to you and say, you know, you've been really successful. What are your most important tips that you could give me taking over a team for the first time? What would you say to them?
I would say trust your gut with your team building. If it doesn't feel right, it's silly. It sounds really silly to say it like that, but if it doesn't feel right, if the team doesn't click, don't force it. It doesn't matter how good the players are. It doesn't matter how strong they are. It doesn't matter if they were all-star or MVP the previous season on a championship-winning team. Unless it's the same exact team in the same exact tier, it's never a guarantee. It's never a guarantee that player, you know, that one player is going to carry a team. Just trust your gut on your team building, and if it feels right, it'll come together one way or another. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I don't have any other questions. I think Hum and Tech have asked some of the best ones I could possibly think of. So, Hum, are you all set? I know you had a 1, 2, 3 potential. What are we?
Yeah, no, that was. She actually answered questions 1 and 2 in her original response. So, I was gonna ask her what she did after the team won, and she
cried. Stopped.
That is a very common response.
Stopped.
Hey, fair
I
enough.
cried when my first team won as well.
I cried the 2 seasons as an AGM when those teams won. I don't know if it's just like a thing. I'm pretty sure when they streamed the franchise of the season, I got multiple DMs from people in the franchise going, "Are you crying right now?" So yeah.
Yeah, I cried when my Prospect team won last season because Prospect has been a very emotional tier for me as somebody who lost in the finals of Prospect twice in a row. So seeing them finally do something I couldn't was pretty special.
Yeah.
Hey, fair enough. Well, oh, my bad.
Oh no, I was gonna say Prospect was unique in the fact that like I had to make the decision to cut myself. And seeing them succeed, knowing that I probably only would have been a hindrance to that success. But it was like, yeah, it was, I think the closer the game is to, the more emotional it gets you, because it's like a build-up, right? So.
Yeah, and I think it was Chulane who said it earlier in the chat. One of the hardest things as a GM is to know when to cut yourself. And when to just say, I've created a monster that I cannot tame, I can't play on this team. That's how I like to put it.
Yeah, I think it was Slate who wrote it, but it was like a long discussion with myself and my AGM because it's hard. You sign up to play. Like, I drafted myself, used a pick, and I'm like, I have to walk away for them. So.
I do want to know. Sorry, excuse me. What did your AGM say to you in that situation? Where what advice did they give to you as people, who have been less and more experienced than you?
So I'm laughing because it's a running joke. Myself and my 2 AGMs, all we talk about is how we're gonna end up benching ourselves for the season or cutting ourselves. It's always been like a running joke. But I don't know how to explain it. It's something we always say. We're always like, we're the worst. We're not going to play. We'll just bench ourselves. We'll let the other players succeed. And you can ask Slate and Alex Trust the same. And I think it's kind of been a joke, but this is the first time I think any of us like legitimately was like cut. Like not IR, not like maybe save it for later. Like I just was like chopped right off the team. I think I had to go play for Chally for a couple matches just because they were short one, but let's be honest, I had a 6 SBV across 2 match days. I wasn't meant to be there anyway. But yeah, so it's kind of like a running joke. They were like, are you sure? Are you gonna end up regretting? Like, are you sure you don't want to play? And I even had the players I brought in confirm with me that I'm sure I don't want to be on the team. Because a couple of them originally I had planned to obviously play with. So it was just like an all-around decision, and I was like, I trusted my gut. I was like, this is what the team needs to be, and that's not with me on it. So
props to you for making that call.
Thanks.
100%.
Should have put yourself on IR to get a trophy, though. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you know what? Damn. Should have. I think it was, you know what it was the cut sign deadline. That's what did it.
Probably.
I wanted to go ahead and move on to the next one, though. We do unfortunately have a couple more subjects tonight. I do want to thank you, Ray, for coming on, hanging out, giving us some
thanks
good
for having
answers.
me.
100%. Well, don't be a stranger. I can't. At least I speak for myself when I say you gotta come back on at some point.
You know, we'll see. Depending on the occasion.
Hey, fair enough. we'll figure. There's got to be something worthwhile, especially when you potentially repeat next season. So, well,
Ooh, that's not.
Please,
you see the look on Hub's face.
I don't want your good well wishes in
Oh,
your predictions
wow.
because I know
Actually,
how your
yes.
predictions go.
That's
I want none of it. I want no part of this. I'll never be back. No, I'm just kidding.
God, I see how it is. Oh man. Hey, fair enough. Well, once again, thanks for being on and congrats on your season.
Congrats, right?
Congrats, right?
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Get egoed on the podcast. That's crazy. Oh my god, dude. I can't believe I just got egoed on my own podcast. That's wild. Alright. Okay, we'll shift on here to the next segment. Hum, I did see your face though, man. I think you don't want her to repeat though.
No, I don't. I am going to get a something franchise of the season, GM of the season, if it kills me. I don't care. I have been on the ballot either as a GM or an AGM 5 times, 6 seasons, and have not won a single one yet. But we will one day. We will one day. I tell you that much.
Hey, fair enough, fair enough. Well, so as it says below, we are moving on to some rules discussion. We've received from a certain inside source some potential rule changes that might be going on this season. And I just want to go ahead and say, for that person who might be watching tonight, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I love not having to pry too hard on the information. But, so I guess the first one, they were talking about removing exemptions as a whole across the board. Hum, I see you slide your hands back and forth like, that looks nice
like
and
this.
tasty. What, you gotta have an opinion on that, my man.
Okay, so originally when I was on Rules Committee as the events committee head, this was one of the things I believe was brought to me by a couple of different GMs to bring up in Rules Committee, and I was the one who started the original conversation on it, but it's just kept going through the cycles, not getting fully voted for, but not getting fully voted out. So how the Rules Committee actually works is something has to be a 5-to-1 ratio to pass out of the 6 committee members. And so if you don't get those 5 yeses, it doesn't pass. So there have been a couple times where it was like 3 yeses, 3 no's. So it was a no, and then somebody had to re-suggest it's going to the docket for the next off season, which it did. And this is, I believe, the final off season where everybody thinks that it's now going to get removed, because a lot of the people in GM Hub and in Staff Hub have said that they're willing to remove it, and those people are actually our representatives on the Rules Committee. But I personally think that this would be a great addition for the league. I have talked to a ton of high MMR players in the league who are constantly getting looked over for subbing into games and even just getting onto rosters. The getting onto rosters part isn't fixed by removing exceptions, but getting subbed opportunities as a high MMR player are hard to come by, because how the current subbing system works is you have to have that is equal to or lower than your, I believe, 3rd lowest player's MMR, or lowest player's MMR. That's the lowest, right?
Lowest, yeah. Your
The
minimum
lowest,
exception goes to the 2nd lowest.
That's right. And how it works is, so let's say I build a great team with 2 second rounders and a tier min. If any one of my starters is gone and the tier min is gone and I have to sign a sub, it doesn't matter if I'm subbing out a tier max player right now. I can only sign somebody who's... And with this removal of the exceptions, you would be able to sub in anybody who is equal to player that you...
Hey, Tech, are you hearing him?
No, so Hum's breaking up a little bit for me, but I'll kind of finish that thought for him. Basically, the removal of the exception system, as Hum was saying, is instead of having to fill that last slot with the lowest MMR player on your team in this current case, or if you're using your exceptions a little different, now it's you just have to roll out with a team that fits cap. And I think I'm on the same page as Tom. This is the feedback I've always given as well, that really, while the subs punish teams, I don't think there was a reason to punish teams. And also it punished high MMR players that were FAs way more. So getting rid of those exceptions and allowing those players to have those opportunities, I think is a huge growth opportunity for the league.
I think so too. I mean, if you're building a team for a match night, and you know the only responsible obstacle for you is it has to be within cap space. We already have limitations where I don't know the exact number that's tacked on, but perma-FAs, something that people thought would be abused in the later end of the season to get extra wins and maybe squeak into the playoffs. They already get extra like MMR kind of sprinkled on top to kind of make it to where they're not really, you know, as cheap as they normally would be. So with that already being there, there's no point, in my personal opinion, having those exemptions tacked on top saying, hey, by the way, you know, you may be able to pick up a sub that's 1065, but because your lowest player is 10 you know, in Shally, you're kind of SOL. You got to find a 10 or below player, and there's probably not a lot of them already. You know, there's not that many players towards the bottom of your tier, and if the lowest player in your team is a tier min, you're just kind of shit out of luck.
I mean, that's why I end up just subbing myself up to prospect last season a couple times. Like, it just wasn't worth trying to find an FA and trying to make it work. I just like, I'll just deal with this myself, and that's not what you want to do, because the whole point of subs is to give those players an opportunity.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know why,
so
but
I do
when you were
want to
talking,
say
it just kept cutting in and out, but you're good now.
it's something weird with these headphones. I'll have the regular mic back next time I'm on without the hat. But what I was saying is, so perm FAs are actually placed extremely close to their peak MMRs, and so sometimes you'll get players who are a perm FA in Elite one season, and then once they actually come into the league, they might be like a veteran or even a rival level player, but those extra MMR that's tacked on, and with the current exceptions, and with how little some teams are subbing later in the season, perma-FAs really aren't getting used as much, and I think this will really help the retention rates that have been historically not very great.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, I think that covers the first one. Let me pull up the second proposed rule change from our little bit of an insider leak here. If I can see the logo for the name. There we go, there we go. Forfeit rules adjustment here. To my knowledge, they were going to be limiting or eliminating the loophole that was abused last season for a couple match days, because it didn't specifically say you need to immediately leave the match. It just said you needed to leave the match at some point. And I'm not going to lie, I know there's not a lot to talk about because it is just kind of closing a loophole, but that really caused some controversy last season, with teams saying, oh, hey, you know, we played out the rest of this game. We deserve that win, even though, you know, really it was a forfeit. So, one of your teams had I believe, the positive from it.
Well, through a very long-winded process, we had the positive. It turned out, originally that night, I was told that, nope, your team lost. They didn't leave. Sucks to suck. And that game was just going to be recorded as a loss to my team. And then over the next couple of days, I started talking more and more with the admin and a couple of the people in the rules committee, and they changed that so that my team actually did end up getting the positive end of it. And that was one of the first instances of this rule going into effect. And what this vote, I assume, is going to be doing for rules committee is going to be something that it was on the tip of my tongue, a precedent vote. So it's something that already has precedent that the admins have been doing, and this is just something that we are writing into the rulebook to make sure that we have written down what to happen in this instance, because it's happened a few times before in the past, and this is one of those passing offs of an admin duty to a highlight in this case.
You might have to ditch the hat and get the old headphones, my guy. It's doing it again. I'm sorry, man. Oh, God. I'm sorry, man, it's getting away from you. Oh, nope. Did you change your Discord input? I know.
You're putting
Can
it
you
through
hear
the
me
ringer
now?
right now, boss.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you're killing me, Smalls. Anyways,
I don't know what's going on
what
with
did you
those
guys?
headphones, man. Not
What
a
did you
lot,
guys hear
actually.
last?
The only
Oh,
thing we
God.
missed was a little bit of the last sentence.
I am completely discombobulated. I have no idea what I was saying.
I didn't care.
Oh
what you were
yeah,
saying.
this is one of those things that's passing off admin duty that I wanted to highlight because that's one of the things that you don't really see that often.
Hey, fair point. I mean, a lot of the stuff in the behind the scenes, we don't really get to see, and it can kind of cause some confusion. So, I'm really glad we get to hear from somebody that, admins are doing work behind the scenes.
Yeah, they do quite a bit. Sorry for that.
You're good. Let me see here, because he gave me like five things that they were going to be potentially talking about, and I can't believe I didn't realize Hum is also on the rules committee. So I'm just sitting here like, were you not?
I'm
Didn't
not
you just-
on the rules committee.
Who?
I used to be.
Oh, it used to be. That's why. Okay, gotta confuse. My bad. It's this hat. It's cutting off the blood flow to my head. I promise. They're looking at allowing GMs who have cut themselves to sub in for their respective tier twice a season.
I like this a lot. Currently, the rule states that a GM cannot sub into a team. They have to be signed. So, like, if I play this season and I cut myself from my challenger team, and let's say my rival team needs somebody for the night just to sit the bench and play in one game, I can't sub myself up to rival. But in this situation, you now can, and the reason that rule was in there was to prevent GMs acting as essentially a fifth unrostered player, where they could just sub in and out without any restriction. But now with the 2 match day limit on it, I think this is a really good change in the right direction that will allow some GMs, honestly like myself, who don't plan on playing entire seasons, to help out the teams if they really do need something to pinch.
Tech, how do you feel about it, man? I mean, I can't say you're not going to cut yourself. We already know you're a star player for your team.
I mean, it depends on what tier I end in, but I haven't had experience with cutting myself. I know in 2's league, if I stayed in AGM, I would have cut myself. I'm not gonna get into that too much, but either way, I don't have a strong opinion on either way. I don't have any experience with it, so I kind of just trust whatever those that do have the experience in the rules committee, whatever they come up with. I'm fine with it.
Oh, I got clarification. You can sub once per your team, one time up a tier. So,
Okay. That
twice
makes
in the
sense.
season, one for each. I mean, that makes sense. It's personally,
I'm not as much of a fan of that, but
I mean, I get it. I get that. We don't want too much gamesmanship going on. A lot of y'all are a little smarter than you pretend to be. So I know you're can't be trusted, man. I'm just saying. Oh,
yeah,
God.
loopholes are made to be exploited.
Yeah, yeah. The final one that was told to me was being able to trade IR players. So I know before that was kind of obviously a big no-no, because you can't just move someone to IR and then try to milk the profit that you would get out of it because you've removed them from the situation. I don't know how I feel about this one. I'm not gonna lie, Hum. I'm kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah, I don't have a huge opinion either way. I get that this is something that probably should be allowed and something that'll maybe be used once or twice a season, but this just isn't that important to me, I guess. To put it extremely bluntly, I fail to extremely useful, where you're going to be trading a player to a different team on IR, where if they're going to be coming back and playing, why not just take them back for your team? That kind of thing. I don't know. Tech, I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I can jump in here because I think I kind of started this one because I wasn't really sure what the rules were, and I kind of just did something based on how I read the rules, which there wasn't any rules, and then kind of people like noticed it and were like, "Oh shit, there used to be rules about this. They're gone. We should try to figure this out." But essentially, what happened for me is I had a player on my rival team going steady that. I actually sold the entire franchise to get another first-round pick and keep him. Well, he was going to miss 2 weeks, so I had to put him on IR. It was just the way it had to be. And after we picked up Billy Manfish, and that team was doing insane. Like, we clearly knew that, like, oh, Billy Manfish, we want to keep him. Like, there's no way we want to mess with this. But also, like, I want to make sure Going Steady gets to a good team where he can succeed. And depending on how the rules are written, if you cannot trade a player from the IR slot, and specifically, I'll come back to that. If you can't trade a player to the IR slot, what I would have had to do is drop my 4th, move Steady back down to my team, trade Steady, and then pick up a new 4th. When I didn't even want to lose my 4th to begin with. It just makes everything like a massive hassle and a huge inconvenience. The one thing that we absolutely followed, we knew like it just wouldn't be right otherwise because it would fuck over the team that we were trying to trade to, or my language. Like we had to wait for that IR time period to pass anyway. That way we weren't saying, hey, you can have Steady, by the way, you still can't play him for 2 match days. Like we wanted to make sure like they were coming off IR and playing for that team right away. But I think what they're looking at is just trying to figure out, should it be allowed, should it not, and specifically if it should, let's make sure this can happen without being this incredible mess of multiple transactions just to do one thing.
Well, I'm glad you broke that down because I'm not going to lie, I totally spaced out how that was going to have to work to actually get them back on the team and then make them eligible for trading and then making the trade. And, all those pieces moving can kind of be maybe a pain in the ass. I'm just saying. And you probably didn't get a lot of value for him, right? I mean, you're trading him off of IR, so you're not going to be getting a lot.
I got a 5th round pick and
yeah, that's not
like, it was really like, I just wanted to make sure he got to the team. And so like, you give me a 5th, I'm happy. It's fine.
100%. That makes total sense. And now that you've explained that, understandable. And I don't know if they're good. So you said they didn't have rules on the book for it before, and now
what I'm told is there used to be rules a long time ago.
I can talk about this.
Yeah, go ahead. You know this.
So there is a man named Bob in the RC Rules Committee. He is kind of like our secretary, who also just happens to know everything about the league but not play in it or have any position of power besides being in the rules. So Bob is what we call our resident advisor. He completely rewrote the rule book in, I believe, season 10 and shortened and reworded a lot of things to try and make things a lot more concise. And while he did do that, he also cut out quite a few things. So if you go and look back at the rule book in, like, I believe season 7 or season 8, I don't even know how you would get access to it. I've personally never seen it, but I would imagine that it's quite a bit longer than our current rule book is, with a lot wordier definitions. And I would assume it probably just got cut out during that time, whenever he remade the rulebook. So blame Bob for that.
Blame Bob. Okay, I see how it is. Is Crab Rave a Monster Cat song? It is. Okay, sorry. It's going through the Monster Cat playlist, and I heard Crab Rave come on, and I was just kind of like, is that Monster Cat? And apparently it is. It's apparently a Noise Storm Monster Cat song. So
It was on our LCS earlier. I think it was yesterday.
really,
That's sick.
okay.
Yeah, I was just sitting there and it was like, oh, we have crab rate. Okay.
You know.
Oh,
go ahead.
just really quickly, there is one more thing on the rules committee docket that was suggested privately among GMs, and that is 3-man rosters. So this is something that I suggested that rules committee will be talking about, that I can talk about now. I did start a serious suggestions post about it, but this is also, I'll just read the post that I made to all the GMs about it and just go through what I think the benefits and drawbacks of it would be. So the proposed change would be to allow 3-man rosters under the condition that every match day, the GM posts the sub in their transaction channel if they only have 3 roster players for that match day. They would essentially be picking up a player to fill that roster spot within cap for that match day. This sub would follow all the regular subbing rules, provided that exceptions get removed, and would have to play in at least one match that night. 4-man rosters would still be the standard and the goal. This would just allow the removal of waiver releasing a player until a quote placement is found, and waiting on a replacement for trades to go through, which is a very, very big thing that I personally hate when it comes to trading. I had a situation this season where I was having a player leave on a trade, and that got agreed probably match day 8. And then I agreed to find a replacement in between match day 8 and 9, and came back and found another player who was going to be coming to us by trade. And then match day 9 rolls around, and that player doesn't have that player's GM doesn't have a replacement. So 3 whole teams were affected by one GM not being able to find a single player and had to wait for multiple match nights to play the roster that they actually wanted. And this would allow a trade to go through without somebody finding a player or a replacement player for that player that is leaving. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words.
So, question. Did you put this in as a serious suggestion?
Yes, and also that was just to get the community. That was to get to the community's feedback.
All
so
right.
This is kind of a shameless plug, but it's also something that we're talking about this offseason.
I'm sorry, I thought it was funny. Though they put in Twitch chat, they're like, shameless plug, serious suggestions. I see how it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I am also running for rules, so hashtag.
So I forgot to ask, does every committee have an election for it, or how does that work? Because like for media, I'm pretty much just taking fresh bodies. If they have a heartbeat and they want to help, I'm just like, hey, get in here.
For rules committee, there are 3 GMs elected every 2 seasons, and then there are 3 staff members elected every other 2 seasons. So on the odd number seasons, I believe it's staff rules committee elections, and then they serve for 2 seasons, and then every even season it's GM rules committee elections. It used to be if you were a committee head, you got to be on rules committee. So Boz, unfortunately, you lost that responsibility about 2 seasons ago.
I'm so glad I'm not a part of that. I can't stress to you, like, as soon as I got media committee head, I'm also now events, and they were trying to put me on stats for a second, and I was like, no, slow your roll here. Like, I got 3 hats. 3 hats is enough.
You don't need that many hats if you just have a big one.
See, I have a very different opinion to you, Maz. I became events committee head solely to get on rules committee.
Man's like, I'm going to play the long game. We're going to go after this man because we want to get on rules committee. That's crazy.
Yep, pretty much. I like the double hat, making up for my loss of a hat.
Too many hats. No, but I think that was everything, right? That was all the rules that we were. Sweet. Well, what is this team hate combination? Team hat Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Okay, I'm going to explain myself here before anybody gets the wrong idea. So in 2007, I, as a young 11-year-old kid, I was watching Yeah, I know, Tech. I know. I was watching the Warriors in their nice, crisp, dark blue and orange jerseys, ripping it through the season, playing terrible. So I really fell in love with the jerseys. I said, cool, I'm going to be a diehard for them. We're going to make that happen. And then I grew up in New Orleans, so I got to be a Saints fan. And we didn't have a decent basketball team for a long time, so I had to pick someone else. Just putting that out there. But, no, I mean, that's everything for the segments. I didn't have anything else scheduled. I didn't know if you guys had anything major you wanted to talk about that wouldn't get us in trouble. But, Oh, God. I'm hoping that they get that all solved and then we can talk about it. But I think for now, that kind of wraps everything up. Tech, did you have anything else for us tonight, or are you all set?
I'm good. I just show up and talk.
Also, really quickly, I do just want to take 1 second. Just listen. That silence without Rob. God, he's so loud. Sorry, Rob, if you're watching, but if he's not currently watching, chances are
he won't come back.
Yeah.
You're fine.
That's all I got.
Crazy. Well, I'll go ahead and call out what we've got coming up. So next week, if you were going to tune in, well, you're going to be sitting there for a while because we're not doing anything. So we're going to be taking 1 week off. We'll be coming back on the 19th. On the 19th, we're going to have 2 new potential People's Champs joining us on, giving us a little bit of a trial run, see how things handle out for them. That week, we're going to have a returning guest, Mr. A Dead Moose. He is trying to become one of our People's Champs and join the podcast. So if you're looking to support him, please pop in on the 19th. On the 19th as well, we have TDs, or Tyler D. I believe he's the AGM for the Cosmos. He's been watching us
and
for
also GM of the Cosmos and Twos.
Also, yeah.
GM of the Cosmos and Twos. I keep forgetting. They're merged.
Him and Rob are co-heads of Cosmos.
I keep forgetting they merged and they made it into a two-piece franchise. But no, big shout out to them. Big shout out to we'll have them on, see how things go, and try to enjoy that week on the podcast. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to talk about because we're going to have kind of a gap in, a little bit of content going on with the off season here. But we'll see. We'll come back. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, I don't really have anything else. If you guys are all set, we can go ahead and wrap things up here.
Well, we will have to discuss. Rebrands should be in by then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we will. Fair enough. Oh, we'll also find out who's getting what tiers, right? The tier ships?
Could be.
Ooh, when's draft lottery?
That's next week,
I believe the draft lottery...
That's this week, isn't it?
No way.
No?
No.
Hold on. Let's wait for the ticker to scroll through. I know I've got it down there somewhere.
Draft lottery is the 20th, so it's the day after our stream.
Okay. So it'll literally be...
So all of the rebrands should be in, but the tiers might not be fully released yet.
I would think the tiers would have to be fully released for them to make drafts, right?
They will have to be for draft lottery.
So we'll be able to at least talk about, we'll be able to talk. We'll have stuff to talk about. We've got stuff to talk about. Life's good. But yeah. For those who have tuned in tonight and those who have watched our hour and 42-minute marathon stream, thanks for joining in. I've had Hum and Tech 4 on tonight. My name is still Boss Radala, repping the 2 hats. But for those of you who tuned in, have a good night, and we'll get you set up with our new stream end. I almost forgot. We totally revamped the podcast, in case you didn't notice. I just put it out there last second.
Bye.
You know